What does it really mean to talk to a woman and control her mind? Not as a desperate nice guy, not as someone begging for attention, but as a strategist, someone who knows precisely what to say and why. Most men fail because they speak from need. They crave attention. They seek approval. They want to be liked. And without realizing it, they place themselves beneath her. Then they wonder, why does no one take me seriously? Today, everything changes. You're going to break free from that weak game. No more begging. You'll speak from power, not need. Because to truly dominate a woman's mind is an art, one that requires both skill and strategy. Only those who grasp this become the men she cannot forget, the ones she cannot let go of. The difference has never been in your looks, your wealth, or your degree. The real difference lies in this. Some men understand female psychology. The rest live frustrated, confused, and ignored. Understanding how to navigate the complex emotional landscape of a woman's mind gives you the leverage you need. Most men approach interactions with women from a place of need. They want validation. They want to be liked. But the man who speaks with purpose and power knows that true attraction stems from a deep understanding of his own worth, independent of external approval. In the next few moments, I'm about to reveal the Machiavellian method that lets you speak in ways that ignite her desire without asking for anything in return. You will dominate her emotions without even touching her. You will shift how she sees you from a man to ignore to a man to obey and crave. If you often find yourself going blank around women, if it feels like she's just waiting to leave the moment you talk, or if you keep ending up in the friend zone, those days are over. But first, like this video, because what I'm about to share are secrets that 99% of men are too scared to use. And if you stick with me until the end, I'll give you a lethal technique to trap a woman in your mental game without her even knowing why. Why do some men dominate and others get ignored? It's not because of their looks, luck, or money. It's all about this. The man who dominates a conversation is the one who doesn't need her approval. When you speak to a woman, you're not merely exchanging words. You're exchanging power. In the first 5 seconds, she isn't paying attention to your words. She's reading your energy. If you're insecure, she feels it. If you're anxious, she sees it. If you're trying to impress, she knows. The moment she senses you're fighting for her attention, you've already lost. She's not attracted to a man who begs for her interest. She's attracted to a man whose energy is enough to captivate her. This is why presence, calm, unshakable presence, is the ultimate form of power. The man who holds power never begs to be liked. He doesn't try to be funny. He doesn't perform. He doesn't seek her reaction. He simply speaks like a man whose truth is enough, and that is magnetic. What makes this man different? It's simple. His energy doesn't come from a place of desperation. The truth is, every interaction with a woman is not just an exchange of words. It's an exchange of energy. And energy speaks louder than words. A man who exudes confidence doesn't need to beg for validation. His presence is the reward. His presence is what draws her in. You will see. Once you understand this, the entire dynamic will shift. Why do most men kill desire before it even starts? It's not because they're bad men, but because they speak from submission. Their words, their tone, their energy all scream the same message. Please like me. Please find me interesting. Please don't reject me. Can you feel how weak that sounds? Every time a man speaks like this, he's begging for approval. He's asking permission to exist in her world. And the brutal truth is this: if you have to convince a woman to see your value, you're already beneath her. And a man who's beneath her will never awaken her desire. A man who operates from a place of need diminishes his own value. He places his self-worth in her hands. He chases approval rather than commanding respect. And in doing so, he becomes forgettable. Desire doesn't come from comfort. Women don't fall for men they can fully control. They may like a nice guy, they may appreciate his effort, and they may thank him for his attention. But true desire, the kind that keeps her up at night, thinking about you, doesn't come from comfort. It comes from tension, from curiosity, from the feeling that she can't fully predict you. Because a woman's ego is always scanning for one thing. Can I control this man emotionally? If the answer is yes, desire dies instantly. So how do you create the kind of tension that sparks desire? It's not in trying to make her feel comfortable. It's in creating a subtle push and pull that keeps her emotionally engaged. Desire is born from the challenge. The man who is too predictable, too eager to please, kills desire without even realizing it. He gives away all of his power by putting her on a pedestal and seeking her approval at every turn. And the moment she feels she has the upper hand, she no longer craves him. That's why the most magnetic men are those who don't need to perform. They're not begging for attention, and they're certainly not trying to convince anyone of their value. Their mere presence makes them irresistible. Most men unknowingly walk into a conversation already defeated. They overcompliment her before she's earned it. They agree with everything she says to avoid conflict. They laugh at their own nervous jokes, hoping for approval. And deep down, she feels it. He needs me more than I need him. The moment she senses full control over your emotions, her attraction shuts off. Not because she's cruel, but because her instincts are wired this way. A woman cannot crave a man she fully understands. She cannot chase a man she already owns. So what makes a man stand out? It's the subtle art of mastering the tension. The man who stands out in a woman's mind is the one who isn't afraid to create space, to let her wonder, to let her think about him long after the conversation ends. He doesn't fill every silence with words. He allows her mind to do the work. She starts questioning why he doesn't seem like every other man. Why isn't he trying to impress me? Why is he so different? The mystery makes her ego work overtime, and when that happens, desire begins to take root. When a man operates from a place of confidence and power, he's the one who holds the key to a woman's mind. He doesn't need to beg for attention. He doesn't need to perform. He simply exists in a way that makes her think, I need to understand him. And that confusion, that inability to define him, is what keeps her coming back for more. It's not about having the perfect pickup line or being the most handsome. It's about being a man who knows how to make a woman feel something she cannot fully understand. That feeling, that desire, is what will stay with her long after the conversation is over. The man who awakens desire is different. He doesn't filter his words to please her. He moves according to his own logic, not her expectations. He's not impressed by her beauty. This man doesn't need to be rude or arrogant. He simply exists in his own frame, living in a reality where her validation is optional, not required. He feels like an anomaly in her world. Everyone else plays by the same script. They compliment, they chase, they perform. But he moves with calm self-possession, and it confuses her ego. And confusion, my friend, is the seed of desire. Humans are wired to notice what breaks the pattern. Women are no different. A man who doesn't rush to fill silence. A man who isn't shaken by her tests. A man who seems present, but never needy. He lingers in her mind because he is unlike any other. He is unpredictable. He is the question she cannot answer. And in that question, desire is born. Stop being the emotional servant. Most men never realize this. They talk to women like emotional servants, not like men who hold power. Every sentence, every text, every action silently says, please like me, please notice me, please give me attention. Here's the brutal truth. When you speak like a needy man, you behave like a child. And when you act like a child, she doesn't see a man. She sees a brother. She sees a friend. She sees a therapist. She sees an emotional teddy bear to vent to but never desire. You must understand this. When you act like an emotional servant, you lower your own value in her eyes. You become someone she can rely on for emotional comfort, but never someone she will crave. She may appreciate your kindness, But kindness alone isn't enough to ignite desire. Desire is something far deeper, and it only arises when she feels uncertainty, mystery, and emotional tension.
It's easy to fall into this trap. Most men unknowingly do. They listen to her problems, offer unsolicited advice, and shower her with praise and kindness. But these gestures, while well-meaning, do not awaken her desire. In fact, they extinguish it. Why? Because desire thrives in the absence of comfort. When you become her safe space, when she can predict your every move, you are no longer an enigma. You are no longer a challenge. You are just another source of emotional support, and she begins to see you as someone she can use, but never someone she will be passionate about. Why do most men fall into this trap? They listen to all her problems. They send paragraphs of texts trying to fix her bad day. They chase validation by being overly kind and agreeable. Then they wonder, why does she never see me as more than a friend? The answer is simple. She doesn't desire what she owns. If you give yourself away emotionally, if you become her safe little comfort zone, she will appreciate you, but she will never crave you. The key to awakening her desire is to stop seeking her approval. Stop trying to be the man who is there for her emotionally at all costs. You must become the man who is unshaken by her beauty, unbothered by her indifference, and unaffected by her coldness. The moment you stop being emotionally reactive to her, the moment you start living in your own frame, the dynamic shifts. You are no longer chasing her for attention or approval. You have become the prize. Your worth no longer depends on her validation, and that shift in energy is what makes you irresistible. This is the Machiavellian mindset in attraction. You speak to her ego, not her ears. Women's egos are like silent radars that scan everything, every word, every movement, every emotional shift. And that radar is always searching for weakness. What does weakness look like? It's not always obvious. It's not stuttering or sweating. It's the energy behind your words centering with fear, doubt, insecurity. She can feel it the moment you try too hard. And the second she detects that, she discards you mentally. You become forgettable. But now imagine the opposite. You walk in with calm. You speak with clarity, not over-explanation. Your presence is magnetic. Your energy says, I am enough. I don't need your validation. She feels something she can't explain. And curiosity starts to take root. She begins to wonder, why doesn't he need me? Why does he act like he doesn't care? And in that mystery, desire is born. This is where many men fail. They rush in too quickly, trying to prove themselves, trying to win her approval. But the true art lies in being the one who doesn't chase. When a man can be present without being needy, when he can give her space to wonder about him, he starts to command her attention. And that attention is what fuels attraction. When you stop acting like an emotional servant, something shifts inside her. The game changes. She starts wondering why she can't fully grab your attention. She tests you to see if you're real. She begins to chase your presence. Suddenly, she texts first. She tries to earn your validation instead of the other way around. This is the first true sign of dominance. When the energy flips, when she invests more than you do, you stop being her emotional comfort toy. You become the thought she can't shake. The man who enters her mind and stays there long after the conversation ends. In the moments of silence, in the times when you're not performing or begging for approval, the real power lies. The man who speaks with this understanding doesn't chase after her. He doesn't need her attention to validate himself. He doesn't need to make her feel special with every word or every gesture. He simply exists in his own frame, and that is magnetic. When a man is comfortable in his own skin and doesn't need her to tell him who he is, that is when she will start to wonder, why doesn't he need me? What makes him different? And this, my friend, is where the game changes. When you master this art, you will no longer be the man she can push aside. You will no longer be a man who begs for attention. You will be the man who controls his own reality, and in doing so, you will control hers as well. The key to truly dominating her mind lies in breaking the mold, in refusing to follow the predictable, tired script that so many men unknowingly adhere to. The man who awakens desire understands that true attraction is not something to be earned through constant validation or overwhelming gestures. He knows that attraction isn't about being nice or trying to make her feel special at every turn. Instead, it's about remaining authentic, detached, and calm yet still present. You must stop acting like an emotional servant and begin acting like a man who is powerful, whose reality is governed by his own rules. When you stop acting like an emotional servant, something significant happens within the dynamic. She begins to change. The game flips. She starts wondering why she can't fully grab your attention. At first, it's subtle. She begins to test you, to see if you are truly the man you claim to be, or if you're just playing a part. She will push your buttons, subtly try to break your frame, and look for signs of weakness or insecurity. And in that moment, you must remain steady. The calmness you exude, the clarity with which you respond to her tests, will determine everything. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to apologize for being who you are. You stand firm in your presence, allowing her to realize that her emotional turbulence has no effect on you. She begins to wonder why you are unaffected by her attempts to get under your skin. She starts to wonder, why doesn't he react like all the others? And that curiosity, that's where desire begins. When she senses that you are not easily swayed, when she feels the subtle shift in the energy between you, she starts to chase your presence instead of the other way around. Suddenly, it's not you seeking her approval. It's her trying to earn your validation. She begins to text first, engage more deeply, and take actions that show she is invested in keeping your attention. This is the first true sign of dominance. When the energy flips, when she invests more than you do, this is when you stop being her emotional comfort toy and become the thought that lingers in her mind. This shift in energy is powerful because it allows her to see you as someone she can't completely control. The man who does not need to be constantly validated, whose frame is unshaken, is the man who enters her mind and stays there. The moment she feels she can't predict you, that's when she starts questioning herself. Why am I still thinking about him? Why does he make me feel this way? And in that uncertainty, in the space between your words and actions, desire starts to bloom. Desire cannot thrive where there is comfort, certainty, and predictability. Women are attracted to the mystery, the challenge, and the emotional pull that they can't fully explain. When you speak to her ego, not her ears, you awaken her subconscious desire. Your presence makes her feel something deeper than just attraction. She begins to invest emotionally, mentally, and physically, trying to decode the enigma that is you. When you speak to a woman like a strategist, you are not just talking to her, you are planting seeds in her subconscious. Every word, every pause, every move is designed to make her think, to make her wonder, to make her crave more. You are not just exchanging words. You are exchanging energy and power. And when you master this art, she will no longer just remember the conversation. She will remember how you made her feel. Your words will echo in her mind long after you've left. The subtle tension you've created will continue to resonate with her, drawing her thoughts back to you. And that is real power. Power isn't about trying to control her. It's about controlling yourself, remaining emotionally detached and unaffected by her tests, and standing firm in your own frame. This power doesn't come from manipulation or games. It comes from understanding how the mind of a woman works and how to create the conditions where her desire can thrive. It's about making her feel emotionally invested in you, but not in a way that makes her feel comfortable or secure. Comfort kills desire. Mystery feeds it. The shift you need to make is from being the emotional servant to being the emotionally self-sufficient man. A man who doesn't need her approval. A man who can speak his truth without fear of rejection. A man who walks into a room and doesn't need to impress anyone, not even her. When you stop seeking validation from a woman, you create a space where her emotions can't help but be drawn towards you. She starts to see you as someone she wants to understand, someone she craves to figure out. As you create this emotional distance, you stop being predictable, and that's what makes you different from the rest. She starts to see you as someone who holds value beyond her own approval. And this value isn't based on your external appearance or your financial status. It's based on your ability to be emotionally unavailable while still being deeply present in the moment. When you become this man, the woman who once saw you as just another guy in her world now begins to see you as something extraordinary, someone she must have in her life, someone she must keep chasing. This is the mindset shift that separates the men who dominate from the men who get ignored. When you shift your focus from seeking her approval to becoming the prize that doesn't need validation, everything changes. The balance of power flips. She begins to invest in you, and that is when true attraction begins to take root. Now, let's take a deeper look at how you can master this game. The next step is to understand that desire isn't about filling every silence or rushing to explain yourself. It's about creating the space where she starts to ask questions and fill in the blanks on her own. When she starts thinking about you without you even being around, that's when you know you've truly awakened her desire. When you master the art of speaking to her ego and not just her ears, you'll notice something strange happening. You'll talk less, but she'll talk more. You'll explain less, but she'll invest more. You'll leave, but she'll keep thinking about you. Because when you speak to a woman like this, you don't just leave an impression, you leave a presence in her mind that lingers long after you're gone. And this, my friend, is the true power of attraction.